ذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك صوت عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل.
Jazakallah, brother. Please say a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now I would like to request Brother Fida to recite salam.
صلوات علی محمد و آل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بے چین بوتراب ہے زہرا گزر گئی بے چین بوتراب ہے زہرا گزر گئی غم میں رسول پاک کے گل گل کہ مر گئی بے چین بوتراب ہے زہرا گزر گئی دروازے کو لعین نے گرایا غریب پر دروازے کو لعین نے گرایا غریب پر آواز پر شخی کے جو یہ پوچھتے در گئی بے چین راب ہے زہرا گزر گئے بے چین محسن ہے بطن پاک میں ہے شہوے شہید محسن ہی بطن پاک میں ہے ہوئے شہید پہلو شکستہ فاطمہ صدمے سے مر گئی بے چین آب ہے زہرا گزر گئے بے چین راب ہے زہرا گزر گئی کل سن ہی تھا غریب کا 18 سال کا کل سن ہی تھا غریب کا 18 سال کا کیا جلد ہائے فاطمہ زہرا گزر گئی بے چین راب ہے زہرا گزر گئی بے چین ہے مزار میں لاشا رسول کا بے چین ہے مزار میں لاشا رسول کا حیدر کا گھر اجڑ گیا زہرا گزر گئے بے چین وہ تو راب ہے زہرا گزر گئی حیدر کی پشت خم ہوئی زہرا کی موت سے حیدر کی پشت خم ہوئی زہرا کی موت سے کہتے ہیں رو کے گھر میرا برباد کر گئے بے چین بو تو راب ہے زہرا گزر گئی حلمی دو نیم کیوں نہ ہو دل بو تو راب کا حلمی دو نیم کیوں نہ ہو دل بو تو راب کا زہرا جگر افگار جہاں سے گزر گئے بے چین بو تو راب ہے زہرا گزر گئے بے چین بو تو راب ہے زہرا گزر گئے غم میں رسول پاک کے گھل گھل کے مر گئی بے چین بو تو راب ہے زہرا گزر گئی
بارے دیگر صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد. I would request Brother Asif to recite mercy.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بار دیگر صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. Shall I recite mercy in Urdu? جب داخل بہشت رسول خدا ہوئے یعنی جہاں سے راہی ملک کے بقا ہوئے محزون و دل ملول شاہ لافتہ سبتین غم میں نانا کے صرف بکا ہوئے سبتین غم میں نانا کے صرف بکا ہوئے صدمہ ہر ایک کو تھا جناب رسول پر حال غیر سب سے سوا تھا بطول کا پر حال غیر سب سے سوا تھا بطول کا بستر سے تھر تھرا کے اٹھیں تھام کر قبر نبی پہ فاتحہ آخری ہمسایوں کے گھر گئی رخصت کو اور کہا لو صاحبو بحل کرو اب کچھ ہے میرا لو صاحبو بحل کرو اب کچھ ہے میرا ایزا تھی تم سبوں کو میرے شور و شین کل فاطمہ نہ ہوئے گی تم سونا چین سے کل فاطمہ نہ ہوئے گی تم سونا چین سے ہمسایہ کے حقوق سے آگاہ لوگوں میرے یتیموں سے رہنا نگاہ اب ساتھ نے کا اور تمہارا ہے بن ماں کی ہوتی ہے میری دکھیاری بن ماں کی ہوتی ہے میری دکھی بچپن پاپ نے بچوں کے آنسو بہات تم پر حسن حسین کو میں چھوڑے جاتی ہوں تم پر حسن حسین کو میں چھوڑے جاتی ہوں رو کر کبھی حسن کو گلے سے لگا لیا آغوش میں حسین کو گاہے بٹھا لیا رخصت کیا کسی کو بلا لیا پڑھنے کے واسطے کبھی قرآن اٹھا لیا پڑھنے کے واسطے کبھی قرآن اٹھا لیا کہتی تھی گاہ بچوں سے منہ اپنا موڑ کل سونے گھر میں سونا ہے بستی کو
چھوڑ کے
کل سونے گھر میں سونا ہے
بستی کو چھوڑ کے
سن لو وصیتیں میری اس وقت یا
امام
فضا سے میرے بعد عدالت سے
لینا کام
ہوشیار فاطمہ کی امانت سے صبح
ہوشیار
دو بیٹیاں دو بیٹے ہیں بس اور خود
خدا کا نام
دو بیٹیاں دو بیٹے ہیں بس
اور خدا کا نام
میں نے بڑے دکھوں سے یہ سب بچے
پالے ہیں
حق کے حوالے تم یہ تمہارا
تمہارے حوالے ہیں
حق کے حوالے تم یہ
تمہارے حوالے ہیں
ہے آرزو کے قبر میں مجھ کو
حسن لٹا
شبیر میرے لاش کا منہ قبل
قبلہ کو
پھر خود کہا نہیں بچہ ہے
ڈر نہ جا
ناگاہ کھیلتے ہوئے
دونوں یتیم
ناگاہ کھیلتے ہوئے
دونوں یتیم
چھاتی لگا کے بولی کے لو ہم تو
مرتے ہیں
تم سے سلوک دیکھیے کیا
لوگ کرتے ہیں
تم سے سلوک دیکھیے
کیا لوگ کرتے ہیں
یہ کہتی تھی کہ غش نے دیا موت
کا پیام
حجرے سے نکلے روتے ہوئے اقرو
تمام
ترتیب ناش کے لیے باہر گئے زہرا نے یا مسلح پہ اپنا
کیا مقام
زہرا نے یا مسلح پہ اپنا
کیا مقام
لکھا ہے بس نماز عشاء کی ادا اور غل اٹھا کے بنت نبی کی
قضا ہوئی
اور غل اٹھا کے بنت نبی
کی قضا ہوئی
ماتھا حسن نے لاشے کے ماتھے پر رکھ
دیا
رو رو کے اماں کہا اور
بش ہوا
تلووں سے اپنے ماتھے کو شبیر نے
ملا
پاؤں میں دم نہ پایا تو یہ کام
نے کہا
پاؤں میں دم نہ پایا تو یہ
نے کہا
میں آپ کا غلام ہوں اور نور عین آواز دو حسین اماں
حسین ہوں
آواز دو حسین اماں
حسین ہوں
جب داخل بہشت رسول خدا ہوئے درود پر محمد و آل محمد اللہم
بارے دیگر صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل. Before I invite Sheikh to give his speech, couple of announcements. The ICZ Islamic calendars are available this weekend. So today, Sunday, please reach out to Sister Nida. They are $10 each. We have class Death and Bersa by Sheikh Amin Rastani tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday also from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And now please recite Surah Fatiha for your marhumin, for the marhumin of the sponsors of tonight's Majlis and the marhumin there on the monument of Zahra, and for those there's no one to recite. Bismillah. I'd like to request Sheikh Amin Rastani to recite this.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. Once again, my condolences on this night of Shahadat of the Bibi of the Kaunain, Bibi Fatima al-Zahra alayha salatu wassalam. Last night, in the beginning of our talk, I discussed a little bit about how these majalis, I call them pit stops, where life is moving fast and just like these racetracks, right? Where there's race cars that are racing, but every car on that track has no choice but to stop for a quick service that is done on it, right? Those pit stops that they have to keep everything in check so they can efficiently continue with the race. Time is lost in that moment, but all in all, in the long run, it pays off. And so every race car will stop several times during that race. These majalis we have, these remembrances that we have, they are those little pit stops in this fast-paced world that we're living in today, just to make sure that we're keeping everything in check. Because man, does it become easy to sometimes forget where we're headed. Sometimes you get the feeling now with all the stuff that's going on, it's as if man and mankind is eternal. But that's not the case. Eternal somewhere else, but not here. There's so much going on, there's so much to discover, so much to experience that you feel like, okay, this needs lifetimes. And so sometimes we may feel like we're going to be here for a long time, but man, I'm going to say this, that it passes pretty quickly, very quickly, too quick for comfort actually. And so we need these pit stops in this race of life that we're in. And so last night I was talking about how these teachings of Ahlul Bayt, we have to be reminded every now and then of them. Now, tonight, inshallah, I'm going to talk about something that you notice more and more happening, especially with the youth and social media. I'm not going to be talking about that in particular, but what you find is that there is this trend of love the Ahlul Bayt and you're good to go. Yeah. That's true actually based on a hadith, but let's see what that means exactly. I think our perception will change a little bit by the end of this majlis on what that exactly means, and more importantly, what that exactly entails. This idea of love of Ahlul Bayt, yes, it's one of the best means to get anywhere, but it's the means. It's not the end goal. Yeah. Ahlul Bayt themselves are dying for Allah. They love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything for them is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what do we find is that because they're so great and awesome, the Ahlul Bayt, if we don't keep our focus on what they were focused on, we might miss the target actually. They are here to take our hand and put our hand in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what their main goal is. Or else on the night of Ashura, Imam Hussein won't say that I love to recite Quran, I love ibadah and salat and these things, right? In the end, it's all about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His satisfaction. We have some hadith that are very scary by Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam in Usul al-Kafi. He says this on different occasions, recite salawat. With a very harsh tone, and I get the feeling that this was something that was trending back then even, because you find numerous hadith by the same Imam warning the people that, hey, love of Ahlul Bayt, yeah, it's awesome, but understand, if you're disobeying Allah, it's not going to really help you too much. We do believe in shafa'ah. We do believe in shafa'ah, but even the Imams themselves have said, we're worried for your barzakh. We'll talk about this tomorrow. We're worried about your barzakh. Do something for yourselves. Like, it's not possible for others to do the work for you. You can't tell your friend in this life, hey, are you hitting the gym for me? Like, I need you to pump those weights like really good so that I get muscular. They'll laugh at you, and then they'll probably take you to a hospital to get you checked, right? No one can do the work for you. You have to do the work for yourself. At the end of the day, we don't believe in this idea of let the Imams do the work for us. Shafa'ah has conditions. The Imams themselves have explained to us, right? Anyway, what you find is that in this day and age, there are people who will have this understanding or misunderstanding, if I may say, that love is going to do everything. Well, love is everything. Without the love, we won't get up on our back, off our backs and get moving, but we have to get moving. And I want to share with you tonight a hadith that kind of illustrates this and hits this point, takes this point home, drives this point home, that love is everything. But let us see what the definition of love of Ahlul Bayt is. Okay? So with that, let us begin with this hadith by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. In this hadith by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, in the book of Al-Khisal of Shaykh al-Saduq, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, the famous companion of Rasulullah, he says, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, man razaqahu Allah. This is very interesting. Once again, I want us to focus on the wording that is used. Man razaqahu Allah hubb al-a'imma min ahli bayti. Look at that. Like, it's very specific. It says, whoever is given the rizq of, is blessed with the love of the Imams of my Ahlul Bayt. So it's very particular. In this hadith, it's very particular. It's talking about the 12. Yes, we are 12ers, right? The 12. Al-a'imma min ahli bayti. Okay, so this is exactly what we're after. Whoever Allah blesses them with the love of the a'imma of my Ahlul Bayt, فَقَدْ أَصَابَ خَيْرَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. This person has hit the bullseye when it comes to the dunya and the akhirah. فَلَا يَشُكَّنَّ أَحَدٌ أَنَّهُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. So no one should have shak that this person is in Jannah. And so we're like, yes, excellent, ahsant, yeah? But I wish the hadith ended here. No, there's like 10 more lines to go. Why do you say this, O Rasulullah? Because I want to tell you why I'm saying this though. That you have the khair of dunya and akhirah. I want to share with you the Prophet ﷺ says in this hadith, the khair of the dunya and akhirah that comes with the love of Ahlul Bayt. So you're like, okay, awesome. What we're going to probably get in the dunya is health, wealth, life, wife. Yeah, they say wife is life. Life, all of that. All of it. And in the akhirah, Jannah, this, that. That's what he's going to probably say, right? The benefits, the good that we gain from the love of the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt that gives us khair of dunya and akhirah. This is probably the khair of dunya, health and wealth, and the akhirah, once again, all the good stuff. That's probably what it's going to be. See, told you, love is everything. Yes, love is everything, but let us get a definition of love now. What is your definition, O Rasulullah? فَإِنَّ فِي حُبِّ أَهْلِ بَيْتِ عِشْرِينَ خَصْلَةً. Last night we had 10 things to talk about. Tonight we talked 20. See, that's why I wasn't asked to speak for 4 nights, because on the 4th night we'd probably have 40 things to cover. عشر منها في الدنيا عشر منها في الآخرة. Don't worry, we'll go through these 20. It won't take too long actually, inshallah. 10 of these for this dunya, 10 of them for the akhirah. So if the Prophet says asaba khayra dunya wal akhirah, that this person has hit the bullseye when it comes to the khair of dunya and the khair of akhirah, he's talking about 10 things in the dunya and 10 things in the akhirah. Okay, cool. So we have 10 things like health and wealth in the dunya, right, O Prophet, that we're going to gain from the love of Ahlul Bayt, right? What are those 10? He starts with the 10 khair of dunya that is the result of love of Ahlul Bayt. All right, we're waiting. We're waiting. What's the first one going to be? Is it going to be health first? Is it going to be wealth first? Is it going to be whatever we want Allah is going to give us? Which one is it? Which one is it? أَمَّا الَّتِي فِي الدُّنْيَا. As for the ones that are in the dunya, number 1, okay, and it might sound a little cliche, but hang in there with me. I want to explain these. أَمَّا الَّتِي فِي الدُّنْيَا فَالزُّهْدُ. The first thing that love of Ahlul Bayt entails is zuhd. What does zuhd mean? Wait a minute. We're waiting for wealth and health here and maybe some Bitcoin. Where is it? What's going on here? Zuhd. So the khair that we're going to expect, these 9 or 10 things that we're going to go through right now, judging from the first one, these are some merits and virtues that I gain that are the khair of dunya, of loving Ahlul Bayt. And then you'll see in the akhirah, there's going to be good stuff. But it seems that the 10 good things of the akhirah that we gain are a result of the 10 good things we gained from the love of Ahlul Bayt in this dunya. And those 10 things weren't health and wealth, and those things, they're something else. They're another genre of benefits that we gain from love of Ahlul Bayt. And that will be the definition, I would say, of love of Ahlul Bayt. But what does this have to do with love of Ahlul Bayt? You started with zuhd. We still have another 9 to go, and I have to explain zuhd itself. But this, why is it the case that these 10 things will be the result of the love of the Ahlul Bayt in this dunya? Because if you love somebody really, what are you going to do? You're going to do things that they love too or they hate. She likes daisies, man. You don't get her a rose then. She likes roses. You don't get her a daisy, right? That's just how this world is. Oh, Ahlul Bayt, I love you so much, but I'm not going to try at all to be like you. I don't know what kind of love that is. Even in our normal daily lives, love doesn't look like that, let alone someone like the Ahlul Bayt. No, I want to love you the way I want to love you. And this is how I express my love. Okay, that's good, but it's not going to be enough sometimes. All right? It's not going to be enough sometimes. Now, I'm going to give an extreme example. None of us are like this, inshallah. None of us are like this. But you know what this sounds like when you say, I want to love you the way I want to love you? You know what that sounds like? This is a very extreme example. It's not applicable to any of you and I. But I'm going to use this example because the language that's being used is very similar to this example. You know what example I want to give you? The example of shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Usjudu li Adam. Do sajda towards Adam alayhi salam. What does shaitan say? He said, no, oh Allah, I will worship you for eternity. Don't make me do it like this though. What did Allah say in response? I want to be obeyed the way I want to be obeyed, not the way you want to be obeyed. No. I know how to express my love to you myself. Oh Allah, well then we got a problem. Because that shows that you don't really love me. You love the way you want to do things. Yeah. This is that language. And as I said in the beginning of the lecture, Imam al-Baqir has some very harsh hadiths for these people. Very harsh. But anyway, If I really love someone, I will love them the way they like, not the way I like. I bought you this much of this, but I don't like this. I don't like this flower. It doesn't matter. I like it and I like you. Well, that's not gonna work. You're not getting it. Nowhere. Ain't no wedding happening, bro. All right. So Zuhd, let's talk about that. The Imams, alayhim salam, they, as I said last night, they weren't poor people. As a matter of fact, they were pretty well off. Imam Sajjad, they say every day how much he would feed, how many sheep and livestock would be slaughtered and given to the poor every single day. Where was this wealth coming from that Imam Sajjad had? Yeah, the previous Imams were hard workers. He was a hard worker. It wasn't like they just sit at home and do nothing. They were generating wealth. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Ayatollah Makaram, I forgot to finish this thought last night, actually. Now I just remembered now. Ayatollah Makaram, 30, 40, 50 years ago, in that article, he had converted the amount of wealth Imam Ali was generating to tomans back then. You know, the toman, the rial in Iran, that's like the currency, right? And this is when the dollar back then was 7 tomans. Now it's like a lot more. Each dollar is 30,000 tomans now in Iran. But the reason why I'm saying all of this is because he had converted it to tomans back then. And you know how much the number was? I don't remember it was a long time ago that I converted it to dollars, but it was in the millions. That Imam Ali was generating this much wealth for the community, for the ummah, for the Muslims, for the poor, through the wells he was digging and other things that he was doing. So the Imams, they weren't poor, broke people, but they were zahid at the same time. You know what zuhd means in a nutshell? Imam Ali says this in Nahj al-Balagha. He says it is what you find in the Quran. لِكَيْ لَا تَأْسَوْا عَلَى مَا فَاتَكُمْ وَلَا تَفْرَحُوا بِمَا آتَاكُمْ. Imam Ali says that look in the Quran has given us the measuring stick. If you are the type of person that when you lose something that you really like, you get really upset, as if you've lost everything, dunya and akhirah, we got a problem there. You're too attached. And if you gain something that you really wanted in this dunya, and it's as if you gained dunya and akhirah, then you're too attached. لِكَيْ لَا تَأْسَوْا عَلَى مَا فَاتَكُمْ, so that you don't become too upset when you lose something. And لَا تَفْرَحُوا بِمَا آتَاكُمْ, and you don't get too happy when you gain something in this life. That shows that you are a zahid. You're not too attached. The Imams were not attached. We love the Imams, so we're going to not be attached either, too attached. That's what it's all about. It doesn't mean not to own things, not to possess things. No, everyone can possess things. But at the same time, let me open a parenthesis here. Sometimes you see things where people are like they're buying everything. The guy's well off, buys everything in the world. He's like, yes, I am not attached to these things, bro. No, we know what's going on. You know what's going on. Sometimes if we're overdoing things, and we can't be like, oh no, but I'm not attached to this. I've seen people post this, by the way. The guy is like in this like super car with like this beautiful interior and everything. He's driving and he's taking so much pleasure. And okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, don't act like you're zahid, because he has another picture where he's very zahid as well. And then people in the comments are saying, it was funny. In the comments, they were saying, this is years ago, by the way. There was this cult like group, right? And they were known for being zahid and arif and all of that. But at the same time, they were riding these kinds of cars and stuff. And people in the comments are like, oh, the interior is white, just like your heart. I'm like, man. Or like another person that said, it's okay, you own these things, but you're not attached to them. No. Okay. The Imams have taught us that we're not attached, but at the same time, we're not going to go overboard either and be like, yeah, people, don't worry about it. I'm not attached. All right. We have to strike that balance, inshallah, that sweet spot. The Imams were like this. They understood that this dunya is going to last 100 years. That's how much value they gave it. They didn't give it more value. The problem, brothers and sisters, is us and the way we look at dunya. Dunya doesn't lie to us. Dunya shows us, look, I'm going to end. Look at all your forefathers. Where are they? Under the ground. You're going to be there too. We know it too. Yet we still act like we're going to be here forever. That's the problem. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. And my perception. Zuhd means that I'm going to give it the value it deserves. I'm going to be here for 100 years. All right, that's how much value I'm going to give it. All right, so that's the first one. He says, if you have love of Ahlul Bayt, this will slowly develop in you. This is zuhd. understanding the value of dunya and being attached to that amount, not more than that. As zuhd number one. Oh wow, so love equals zuhd. I didn't know that. Number two, al-hirsu ala al-amal. To be, now hirs has a negative connotation to it. And we know because we have this in Urdu too, probably, right? We have hirs, haris. Do we have that? Being like obsessive about something, trying to hoard things, trying to, gather things a lot, accumulate as much as you can. But look at this. Al-hirsu what? Ala al-amal. A person who loves Ahlul Bayt sees what hard workers they were. You know, I didn't get the chance to share this last night. Let me share this with you tonight then. The story of Imam Ali. And one of those stories that he's digging that well, it says he came, he asked his servant, he said, what do we have for food today? And he's like, we have this little squash dish. Who likes squash dishes? Huh? Imam says, okay, I'll have that. He's like, no, that's not befitting of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, bro, Amir al-Mu'mineen is not about that life. Give me what you have. Gives him the squash dish. He has his meal, puts his sleeves up, starts digging, goes down, down. Comes up, he says, Imam Ali comes up, and he is drenched in sweat. I love Imam Ali, but man, do I got to play my card 6 hours a night with my buddies online. Hard worker, all right? It's okay to play video games, by the way. I don't want parents to hold this against their kids later, but like, hey, like let's, we got to get other stuff done too in life. All right, so Imam Ali comes out drenched in sweat, and then he goes back down, it says. He goes back down and he keeps digging, and then the person who's narrating this, he says, I saw Imam Ali jump out of the well all of a sudden, and then water sprout up and gushed out. And so Imam Ali jumped out so he doesn't like drown in the water. And so this water comes out and there's a well. He's hit water. He's hit that gold of that time, as if. This is Imam Ali working hard, right? Oh, Imam Ali, I love you so much. Imam Ali was a hard worker. He got stuff done. He was productive. How productive are we if we love Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam? Dang. Should I continue or should we just end it? Call it a night, huh? Because like it's just not looking good so far, at least for me. But you know, I have to fill the time, so we'll go on. Number 3, al-wara'u fi ad-din. Wara' means that extreme precaution that you take. Now, I have to say this, that in our deen and in our religion, there are some places where you have the red lines. There are some forms of precaution and ihtiyat that are recommended. There are some ihtiyats that are not recommended, brothers and sisters. If Islam has told us in this situation, don't do ihtiyat, you don't need to do ihtiyat. Doesn't mean that I have to be super religious man with my cape soaring in to save the day all the time. Okay? Making things harder on myself, my family, my people, when it's not even necessary. But there are some harams out there that are haram. I mean, not some harams, all harams are haram. There are some rules out there that are haram straight up. And then I'm going to walk on the edge of the cliff. No, take precaution here. Stay away. For example, I know this guy is not the person I should be hanging out with. I know it. Okay? But I do it anyway. I'm like, I'll be careful. What are you talking about? I'll be careful. Next thing you know, you're hanging out with them in a haram setting. And then haram is happening because as a result, and you're falling into sin. You don't walk on the edge. Some people, they have this misunderstanding. I don't know how they're thinking, but our scholars have refuted this. They say, no, this is not right. This is not an accurate way of looking at things. They say, oh, it's no big deal to stay away from environments that haram is in. What really is a big deal and is praiseworthy is to be in the middle of haram, but not to commit haram. That's not how it works. It's like saying, it's no big deal to walk away from the cliff. It's important for you to walk on the edge and not fall off and die. And just, okay, well, why not just stay away from the whole thing for God's sake and for your own life's sake? These types of precaution. Al-wara'u fi ad-din doesn't mean take precaution when it's not necessary. For example, regarding najasa and tahara issues, there's a lot of leniency in Islam. But then we have super spiritual man. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's super spiritual man soaring in to save the day again and make life hard on everybody, right? There are Some places where Islam says relax. You don't have to go hard on yourself. But then this person does precaution there. There are some places precaution is not good. And there are some places very good. Let's figure what those are out but through our maraja and then exercise our precaution there. Al-wara'u fid din, number 3. Why should I have wara' fid din? Well, didn't you say you love Ahl Bayt? Yeah, I said I love Ahl Bayt. Ahl Bayt were the ones who had wara' fid din. Don't you want to be like them? No, I just love them, but love them from far away. I don't know what that kind of love that is. It's like saying, I love somebody, but I never want to see them. Stay as far away as you can from me, but I still love you. What is that? How does that mean? Is that real love, brothers and sisters? If you really love something or somebody, you want to get closer to it. You want to have wisal of it, connect with it. Number 3. Number 4, الرغبة في العبادة. A little bit, this one's a little tough. But after a lifetime, it's expected that a person has this, inshallah, who is a lover of Ahl Bayt. Raghba fil ibadah means that you are inclined towards ibadah. You're not turned off by it. Okay, I can understand. You're 16, you're 17, you're 20, you're 22. You know what? In this day and age, let's just move it up to 30. You're not too interested in ibadah. But look, if a person really is traversing the path of God and observing the rules and commands of Allah throughout their life, slowly an inclination towards ibadah should be developing within them. Number 1. Number 2, if you have love of Ahl Bayt, who does the Ahl Bayt love? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they will do anything to get, and whatever opportunity they get to be in connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so I love Ahl Bayt. At least I should try to program my life in a certain way where I'm not turned off by ibadah and I have an inclination towards it. Well, you know who is not going to have an inclination towards ibadah? A person who could care less whatever's happening throughout the day, cares less about observing the commands of Allah throughout the day. Well, of course, when the time for ibadah comes, they're like, okay. As a matter of fact, I want to say this, that our salat is a reflection of how our day looks, of remembering Allah. I'm not saying remember Allah when you're giving your exam or you're studying a book, but at least, when I'm sitting in the car on the way to work and I'm not listening to anything, I'm not doing anything, at least a little bit of dhikr. It's free, I swear. A day will come that we will regret it. Oh my God, every salawat had this much for me. And so I had this opportunity. I know people, if they go in a room, they come out and they're like, oh, that's what I needed from the room. They go back, they turn around to go get it from the room again. On the way there, they recite 2 salawat because that's a little bit of time right there, 10 seconds. It's all about time is money, time is akhirah. Yeah. So the salat is a reflection. If I have nothing to do with Allah throughout the day, of course I'm not going to have inclination towards Allah. And I'm going to be easy. I'm going to go easy on the youth, right? Because we can't expect this from them. But when you're 40 years old, things should be a little different than when you were 15. Yeah. You still see people online. The guy's 60 years old. He's still running around trying to collect sneakers and Jordans and stuff. Like, you're 60 years old. And it's not your business, right? You're not buying and selling them to make a halal living. That's okay. You're just collecting them because you got to have this pair too. And you know what they say? They say, I need this pair too. Wait, Habibi, you have like 15 of the same pair. I need it. No, you don't need it. Your collection needs it, not you. Yeah. If you're not careful, you're 60 years old, but you're going to still be a child. Ar-raghbatu fil ibadah. At-tawbatu qabla al-maut. The Ahlul Bayt, for them, the scariest thing was to leave this dunya with any burden of sin on their backs. I love Ahlul Bayt. I should be a reflection of that to an extent. But you got to be careful here, because what did the wording of the hadith say? It says, Tawbah qabla al-maut. It doesn't say Tawbah right after you commit a wrong act, right? What's the answer to that? What is the answer to this notion of, hey, I'll do Tawbah before I die? What's the answer to that? Anybody want to say it? You don't know when you're going to die. If you can guarantee to me that 3 days from now you're still alive, then don't do Tawbah until 3 days. No problem. But that's the cool part. Allah didn't tell us when we're going to die. is so cool. This idea of not knowing when we're going to die is so cool. I've thought about it. Trust me, it's cool. Like it changes the game completely. If we knew when and where we're going to die, things would be different. It's just so awesome how Allah has done it. It's so beautiful. And so since I don't know when I'm going to die, what am I supposed to do tawbah? Whenever I commit the sin. As a matter of fact, we have some cool hadith that say a person that when they do the wrong, Allah doesn't let the angels, the ones that are up here, like you try to flick them off, but they don't go. They're always writing down what you're doing. Those ones. It says that they're not allowed to write it for a certain period of time. I don't remember the exact number. Maybe one of you remembers this hadith. Maybe 6 hours or something like that. I don't remember exactly. Something like that. They're not allowed to write it. Why? Because Allah says, I'm going to give that opportunity to this individual to be regretful and say, oh Allah, I'm sorry. I'm going to try my best not to do it again. And that's what tawbah means. Oh Allah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm going to try my best not to do it again. This person might do it again later. That's going to require another tawbah. And of course, we can't fool ourselves either. Oh Allah, forgive me. No, we know when we sincerely are regretful versus when we're just playing games with Allah. God forbid. Tawbah. Qabla al-maut. A person who loves the Ahl Bayt. And there's some stories I've seen, because like I'm on social media. I don't post too much, but I watch. And just to see what's going on, If you don't want me to see it, don't put it online. And so it's very sad. I see certain things of people who are saying that they love Ahl Bayt. And I'm not saying love of, if you don't have any of these, by the way, let me say this on the side real quick. If a person doesn't have any of these, I don't want to say and sound like having love of Ahl Bayt isn't going to do anything for them. All right. But if you want to maximize on the love of Ahl Bayt, and this is what the Prophet is expecting according to this hadith. So, what I would tell people is, if you don't have any of this, if I don't have any of these, still have love of Ahl Bayt. Inshallah, that'll help us somewhere. Yeah. التوبة قبل الموت والنشاط في قيام الليل. Okay, this one's a little tough because it's okay if some of you hold your ears even and don't want to listen to this one because it is a little tough. Not too tough though. It's all about discipline, all about habit. It said الرغبة في العبادة before, right? Having an inclination towards ibadah. But look, a certain form of ibadah is singled out, and that's Salat al-Layl. It's singled out. And here it says an-nashat. Nashat is more than raghba. Nashat means liveliness, drawn towards it, like totally, And nashatu fi qiyam al-layl, to get up before Salat al-Fajr. Yeah. And to perform those mustahab acts. Yeah. Why though? Why should I have that? Well, don't you love Ahl Bayt? Yes. What did the Ahl Bayt love? Why did Imam Hussein get one more night of an opportunity on the night of Ashura? Why? He said it himself. فَإِنِّي أُحِبُّ الصَّلَاةِ. I love Salat. What are you going to do, Imam Hussein, on this last night of your life? He says, I'm going to do Salat. What kind of Salat are we talking about here? Salat al-Layl. On the nights of Qadr, sometimes you see people doing those 100 rak'ats of exercise, I call it. Qazai Umri. It's a night of connection, brothers and sisters, to Allah. If you're not paying attention to what you're doing, then it's going to defeat the purpose. And then they do 100 rakat there, and they do Joshan Kabir, which is wonderful, all of that, taqabbal Allah. But do we do Salat al-Layl? That's the night. Salat al-Layl has to at least happen on that night. Those 11 rak'ah on that night, we're up anyway. Might as well do it those 3 nights of the year. If we're not doing every night of Ramadan, at least waking up 10 minutes before Sahri, right? Or 10 minutes before Fajr. And I know that the Desi community, they don't have a heavy Sahri, correct? Usually it's a roti paratha, and some eggs and stuff, But in the Iranian culture, what we do is we go heavy because we don't want to suffer it throughout the day at all. So we go heavy as it gets. Yeah, we do the whole thing, the salan and the chawal all the way. All right. So for us, it might be a little harder to do Salat al-Layl, but for you guys, no excuse. Because you're having a light Saturday, you don't need too much time. So a little bit before it, wake up and do at least 2 rak'ah, 3 rak'ah, whatever you can. And nashatu fi qiyam al-layl. I don't know why we miss out on Salat al-Layl in Ramadan, which is the best opportunity, yeah? And then the nights of Qadr, of course. I even believe that on the night of Ashura, maybe a person should make sure to do Salatul Layl because Imam Hussein is doing Salatul Layl on that night. Yeah, we can give 10, 15, 20 minutes for that, and then the rest is for the other amal we do and for the other azadari that we do, which is one of the greatest ibadat. Yeah, but we can add that as well. They're not mutually exclusive. All right. النشاط في قيام الليل. Number 6 or number 7, which one is it? اليأس مما في أيدي الناس. The Imams were all about connection with Allah. As a result, they don't have any hope in what is in the hands of the people, right? Oh, this person is holding the keys to this kind of car. Let me get closer to this person. This person's got this that I need. That person's got that I need. We even have hadith that if you say salams to someone in a more special way because they got more stuff than others, that even this person, like Allah, this person is really frowned upon in the skies. Allah and the angels, I don't remember the exact wording of the hadith, but this person is in trouble because of this. You know what you're doing when you do that? You are indirectly telling Allah, it's not all about you, it's all about this person. This is proper tawheed. The Imams had proper tawheed. The Imams were immersed in Allah. So I love them. And so I'm not going to have too much hope in what's in the hands of the people. Al-Ya'as. Ya'as means hopelessness, actually. Ya'as doesn't mean having less hope. But this is something to work towards. Once again, I'm not going to expect this from my kid who's 15 years old, 20 years old. But I'm going to expect it slowly from the 50, 60-year-old who's still talking about sneakers. There's a reason why Allah has given us a lifetime, brothers and sisters. This lifetime, which spans over 50, 60, 100 years. Remember last night I said, I'm going to be here for 200 at least. I don't know about you guys. But this lifetime that Allah has given is because, yes, things take time to develop. It's fine. You can't leave this majlis tonight saying, okay, from this day forward, from tomorrow, I'm going to have all 10 of these. It's something to work towards. Continuing the path of Allah, slowly these things will come. Al-Ya'suf mimma fi aydin nas. A lover of Ahl Bayt is going to be on a certain trajectory, and the destination, this is what it looks like. A lover of Ahl Bayt, inshallah, when it's time to leave this dunya, will have these. Al-Hifdhu li amrillahi wa nahyihi. When it comes to the wajib and the haram of Allah, they are sure to take care of it completely. Al-Hifdh means to protect. Hifz, to protect it. This is something that is not to be broken and compromised. The wajib and haram of Allah is, if anything else was going to help us spiritually as much as the wajibat do, and if anything else was going to hurt us as much as not observing the harams was, Allah would make those things wajib and haram. Why am I after that special WhatsApp message that comes from Pakistan and India, or from my grandfather, grandma from Iran, that says, do this amal, and this is something that nobody knows. This is the secret, like, shortcut that they haven't been teaching you, them mullahs, those mullanas, right? And so do this and that, and then at the top, usually it says forwarded many times. Yeah, see, you know what I'm talking about. If anything was going to get us anywhere more than the wajib and harams, Allah would have made those wajib and haram. This is very important. This is a golden line, and it's from yours truly right here. All right? Look, this is it's a theological matter, as a matter of fact. It goes back to theology. Like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot make something wajib or haram that's less important than something that's not wajib or haram. We have to understand that. And that's why our ulama say this. They say, look, theoretically speaking, I say this in bold and capital letters, okay? Theoretically speaking, if you don't do one mustahab in your life, but you take care of all the wajib, all the haram, all the wajib and haram, not some of it. Don't turn around and tell me, oh, there are some people who pray and fast, but they hurt people's feelings. They backbite. They're the worst people, actually. That's not a person that's taking care of wajib haram. When I say wajib haram, I mean all of it. At home, at work, socially, individually, all of that. When it comes to money matters, all of that. If a person, theoretically speaking, takes care of all of the wajib and haram and doesn't have one mustahab act in their lifetime, Our ulama say this, they have the key to Jannah. Because if anything else mattered, Allah would also make that wajib. Oh, see, Maulana said don't do any mustahabat anymore. No, that's not what I'm saying. Please let us understand that is not what I'm saying. I said theoretically speaking. Theoretically speaking. That's how important wajib and haram is. Al-hifdhu li amrillahi wa nahyihi. They will take care of the wajib and haram of Allah, the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why though? Why should I do that? Well, the Imams were all about that. And I love the Imams, so I have to be like that if I really love them. At-tasi'a, number 9. Bughd ad-dunya. That they, see, it's number 9 on the list, so it's up there. So slowly we have to get there. Bughd ad-dunya, bughd. In the beginning I said zuhud, right? Which means you're not attached to the stuff. But like towards the end, it's like bughd now. Bughd means hate. Hate of the dunya. Why? Bichara dunya, what did bichara dunya do to us? That we have to hate it now. Right? The problem with dunya is that it's temporal. It's temporary. That's the problem with it. I'll give you one hadith in Nahj al-Balagha. Imam Ali says this. He makes it clear it's not about the fact that we take pleasure in dunya that makes dunya bad. He says, Ma la aliyan wa na'imin yafna wa la yabqa. What does Ali have to do with? Like, what do I care about the na'im and blessings and pleasures that yafna, that end, are going to end, wala yabqa, and will not persist? That's my problem with it. Imam Ali is teaching us, look, I got no problem with pleasure. I want the eternal pleasure. And so if I have to trade them, As a matter of fact, religious people might seem at first glance as the most boring people that don't care about having fun and all that. But did you know, as a matter of fact, they are the most pleasure-seeking people. They're the ones who want to have the most fun without the hangovers after. That happens only on the day of judgment onwards, though. And so they're like, you know what? We'll just build that. We'll just build that for ourselves. And so as a result, because the love of akhirah becomes more and more, they don't really care about this dunya anymore. This dunya is all hardship. We'll talk about this tomorrow as well. We'll have some hadiths that we need to unpack a little bit that talk about how the dunya is a prison and its shackles and all that. We'll talk about that later. All right, that's for tomorrow. But anyway, bughd dunya, it reaches a point where this person can't really stand it too much anymore here. Like, man, let's move on. And finally, al-ashirah, which is the hardest one. So what's our guess, huh? What's our guess that the 10th one is going to be, which I would say is maybe the hardest one? As-sakha, generosity. Because no matter what, you're willing to fast all your life. You're willing to do whatever. But man, when it comes to your money, you don't want to give that away. It's a tough one. Generosity. Why should I be generous? Well, have you heard Imam Hassan gave all of his wealth in the way of Allah like twice in his life? Or 3 times, however many it was? Oh, so you're telling us I should give my wealth all away? No, Habibi. Just give the amount that Allah has made wajib on you at least. That itself is not easy. Right? Khums and zakat is not easy. It's a yearly thing. It requires calculation. It requires accounting. You might have to open another QuickBooks account just for that. To keep track of things. Oh, that's one of the wajibat. Yeah, it was. I mean, that's what the Quran says. You know that book, the Quran. As sakha, but means more than that even. Sakha implies even more than the wajib that's on us. But sometimes we don't even take care of the wajib. There's more than that. Generosity is not that easy. But you're telling me to give all my wealth away? No, the Quran says, look, don't clench your fist too tight and don't open it too much either. Balance in between. Don't destroy yourself and your family. Let others also. We have some cool hadith here as well. It says, look, Allah sometimes will give to some people more, but the expectation is that they're going to take care of others who are in need. And so they are a channel through which Allah takes care of others. But the moment Allah sees that, okay, this person thinks it's all belongs to them, yeah, he's like, okay, time to move on to somebody else. Let's keep that in mind. Generosity, the wealth part is the hardest part. And you see this in the West, especially. The guy, he tells whoever he's into, man, I love you so much, this, that. But when their job moves to somewhere else, like, Rafiz, Because look, in the end, it comes down to that. Really, it comes down to it's hard to part from the money aspect. And so that is where a big challenge is going to be. But we find that the Imams were very generous. And so if I love the Ahlul Bayt, then this is. So these are the 10 things love of Ahlul Bayt entails of benefits, khair dunya that the Prophet said. But health and wealth was not in it. Those will be added perks and benefits, maybe, inshallah. Sometimes that won't even be coming. But these 10, inshallah, should be coming. So, wow, what is my definition of love of Ahlul Bayt now? It took on, we're like somewhere else where we started from, totally different where we started from. So, if I'm going to say Ahlul Bayt, love of Ahlul Bayt is going to get me anywhere, yeah, that's true. But, this is where it gets you. This is where it gets you, inshallah, inshallah. Isn't that beautiful? But what about akhirah now? Oh, Prophet, you're going to probably add 10 more things also for the akhirah. No. Look at the rewards though. And so this is what you'll understand what I meant when I said maximizing. This love is a gem. Let us sell it for something that it's worth, not less than that. You know what that love can get us in the akhirah? If this is the definition of it in this dunya, in the akhirah, the Imam, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, وَأَمَّا الَّتِي فِي الْآخِرَةِ. Right? It's a total different genre of benefits in the akhirah. They are real benefits now in the akhirah. Number one, لا ينشر له ديوان. They won't even have to open up a book for you on the Day of Judgment to start accounting now. Let's do hisab for this person. You were doing hisab for yourself in the dunya with all those things that love of Ahlul Bayt brought for you, right? They're like, look, when we're looking and all we see is good, there's no reason to even open up the books for this person, for them to even have to stand in line, Isn't that awesome? لا ينشر له الديوان ولا ينصب له ميزان. They don't have to set up a scale for you and a mizan for you to now start weighing things out, right? ويعطى كتابه بيمينه, or ويعطى كتابه بيمينه. This person will get their book, their report card in their right hand. You know that those verses of the Quran that say some people will get it in the right hand, some people will get it in the left hand. And you and I growing up, what were we doing all along? Trying to figure out how we can be faster than the angels when they're handing us the report card. Turn around and grab it with our right hand. Be like, haha, looks like I'm going to Jannah. See ya, No, that's not how it works there. If you want to take it in your right hand, this is one of the ways. Love of Ahlul Bayt. Awesome. I love Ahlul Bayt already. All right, let's start working on these 10 things that we're supposed to in this dunya then. لا ينصب له ميزان يعطى كتابه بيمينه يكتب له براءة من النار. They write for that person safety from the hellfire. Isn't love of Ahlul Bayt great that it brings this for us? Now, of course, there will be some shortcuts that the Ahlul Bayt have given us, like tears for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But all in all, they're also telling us, look, we'll take care of you in the akhirah, but at least take care of your barzakh yourself. Do some work. Bara'atun minan nar. If a person wants that safety from the hellfire, then this is going to require some work. Yabyaddu wajhuhu. This person's face will be white and glowing on the Day of Judgment. Yuksa min hulalil jannah. They will put on this person all the zinats and hilya of Jannah. This person, when they walk in, right, all these people are going to be looking at this person. Wow. يَشْفَعُ فِي مِئَةٍ مِّنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتِهِ. This person will do shafa'ah for 100 people of their family and relatives. Someone might say, I don't care about others on that day. I care about myself. No, when you're good to go, it's very praiseworthy that you can do shafa'ah for others and intercede for others as well. In the Quran, it says to the Holy Prophet, Asa rabbuka an yab'athaka rabbuka maqaman mahmuda. That, O Prophet, do Salat al-Layl, because as a result of Salat al-Layl, Allah is going to give you maqaman mahmuda, a praiseworthy rank. And so when you look in the tafsirs, they've explained that this praiseworthy rank is what? Shafa'ah. Shafa'ah itself is beautiful. When you give to someone else and you help somebody that's in need, brothers and sisters, don't you take pleasure yourself? It's a special spiritual pleasure. Multiply that by a million or whatever, and that might be something like shafa. This person is doing so good that they do shafa for 100 of their relatives as well. So they get a taste of maqam and mahmuda as well. ينظر الله عز وجل إليه بالرحمة. Allah will look at them with rahmah and mercy. Someone might say, who cares? No, 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 no. We don't understand what that means. All I can say is this, that in the Quran, it says one of the punishments of the people in the hellfire is لا ينظر إليهم. Allah doesn't look at them. It gets worse, of course. In some verses it says, قال اخسأوا فيها ولا تكلمون. That Allah says to these people in the hellfire, اخسأوا فيها, shut your mouths. Ikhsa is what you tell animals when you want to quiet them. اخسأوا فيها ولا تكلم, don't speak to me. You're not allowed to speak to me. We don't understand. Everything is Allah on the Day of Judgment, brothers and sisters. If Allah is not looking at us, that's going to be a problem. And so looking at them, not only looking at them birrahmah. I would say put aside everything we covered so far of these things in the akhirah, just this one's enough to have the best akhirah. We just don't understand what it means exactly. يُتَوَّجُ مِنْ تِجَانِ الْجَنَّةِ. They will put on this person's head the crown of the crowns of Jannah. So this is a special zinat in addition to all the other zinat that they're wearing. There's something special about this, that you're wearing a crown that others don't have. وَالْعَاشِرَةِ. Then the last one is يَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةَ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. That this person enters Jannah without any reckoning, without any calculations being needed whatsoever. Yeah, isn't that the dream? Isn't that the dream? So the Prophet, he ends with this. He says, fa, okay, so as a result of everything that I said. So he started with what? Love of my Ahlul Bayt will give you all of the khair of dunya and akhirah. And we're like, great, that's wonderful. But then he gave us all the details. And then he says, after he goes all through all those details and kind of bursts our bubble a little bit, and we're like, oh, we got to work for this. Then he says, okay, so tuba li muhibbi ahli bayti. So glad tidings, good for the lovers of my Ahlul Bayt. You know, he's reminding us, remember the love I talked about in the beginning? Now, after going through all these details, I'm just reminding you, that was the love I was talking about. Glad tidings, and good for those who have the love of my Ahlul Bayt. But what a love this is, it is something that requires a lot of work. And so we have a lifetime ahead of us, inshallah. And whatever's left of our lifetimes, to work on these things, to understand that, yes, the love should be there. That should be the main active ingredient. But yeah, the work has to be done at the end of the day. And as I said, Imam al-Baqir in other hadiths gets very harsh. He's worried for us. And so this trend and understanding of, oh, love of Ahlul Bayt is everything. Oh, Maulana, I don't need to worry about this. I don't need to worry about that because I got love of Ahlul Bayt. All right, but the love of Ahlul Bayt has to entail some of these things, or else they're not going to do the work for us. That's what we're here for. They would take us straight to Jannah otherwise. The fact that we are here, inshallah, requires that we work for it. This is the love of Ahlul Bayt. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us that understanding and tawfiq to live up to these expectations that the Imams had from us. Assalamu alayki ya binta Rasulillah ya Fatima Zahra. On this night of the Shahadat of Bibi Fatima alayha salam, these Ahlul Bayt that we were told to love. And as I said, even if I can't have that special love, at least have some love for them to the extent that will help me a little bit, as I said. These people, they didn't have that much, unfortunately. Some might say, no, they did. Well, okay, but they had love of dunya a little bit more than they had for Bibi Fatima. And so tonight, I want to talk about how it all ended with the wafat and the shahadat of Bibi Fatima. When they came to Amir al-Mu'mineen, they say that they informed him when he was in the masjid that Bibi Fatima has passed away. They say that Imam Ali ran to the home of Fatima. And of course, a person who is under a lot of pain, and his suffering is not going to be able to take their steps properly. They say Imam Ali fell down several times on his way to the home of Fatima. As fast as he was running, my best friend has left this dunya. And so it says that after Imam Ali had taken care of her ghusl, her kafan and everything, Bibi Fatima had said that I want to be buried at night. Don't let anyone come to this burial of mine. It says that after he was done with the ghusl and kafan, he called out, فَنَادَيْتُ يَا أُمَّ كُلْثُومْ يَا Zainab, O Zainab, Kulthum, Hussein, Hassan, هَلُمُّ تَزَوَّدُوا مِنْ أُمِّكُمْ. Come and take those final moments and whatever share and provision you can take for yourselves from your mother, because فَهَذَا الْفِرَاقُ وَاللِّقَاءُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ, that this is it. It is time to say goodbye. It is so hard, brothers and sisters. As I leave, every time when I'm traveling and my little daughter, my 2-year-old daughter, looks at me as I close that door, I can tell that I'm breaking her heart, but she knows that Baba's going to return. But when Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says to them, هَلُمُّ تَزَوَّدُوا مِنْ أُمِّكُمْ, take whatever you can of the looks from your mother. They know this is it. Once this kafan is closed up again, no more mother for us for the rest of our lives. What a mother that we're losing. The kindest of all mothers, the purest of all mothers. Al-liqa'u fil jannah, he says in this hadith, that this is the time of separation and you will re-meet each other. But in Jannah, you will have a lifetime without your mother. فَأَقْبَلَ الْحَسَنُ وَالْحُسَيْنُ, Hassan and Hussein, they came towards their mother. وَهُمَا يُنَادِيَانِ وَحَسْرَتَا, they're grieving over their mother. They're calling out for their Ya al-Hasan, Ya al-Hussein, O mother of Hassan and Hussein. إِذَا لَقِيتَ جَدَّنَا مُحَمَّدًا الْمُصْطَفَى, when you reach your father, the Muhammad al-Mustafa, tell him that we said salam, and tell him إِنَّا قَدْ بَقِينَا بَعْدَكَ يَتِيمَيْنِ فَفِي دَارِ الدُّنْيَا, that we remained orphans after you in this dunya. It was only a little bit before that Rasulullah left this dunya, and now our mother has left. We're orphaned now. And so Imam Ali says, فَرَفَعْتُهُمَا عَنْ صَدْرِهَا. It reaches a point that Imam Ali might even got worried over Hassan and Hussein. What's going to happen to them? He says, I lifted them from the chest of their mother and I began to tie this kafan again. And he says, he recited some poetry. فِرَاقُكِ أَعْظَمُ الْأَشْيَاءِ عِنْدِي وَفَقْتُكِ فَاطِمُ أَدْهَى الثَّكُولِ, that, O Fatima, separation from you is the greatest of things and the most bitter of tragedies, and the most bitter of tragedies. سأبكي حسرة وأنوح شجوى على خل مضى أسنى سبيلي, that I shall weep out of regret of losing you, over losing a friend that went and took the best of paths towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ألا يا عين جودي وأسعديني, O eyes of mine, help me in this tragedy. Let my eyes flow. فَحُزْنِ دَائِمٌ أَبْكِي خَلِيلِي, my huzn and grief is eternal over this friend of mine. And so they say, as he buries this lady Fatima in Nahjul Balagha, Imam Ali begins to speak to Rasulullah, O Prophet of Allah, peace be upon you from me. Salams to you from me and from your daughter, and nazilati bik, the one who has come to you, O Rasulullah, and has hastened to meet you. O Prophet of Allah, my patience about your chosen daughter has been exhausted. My power of endurance has weakened. This Ali, who was never weakened on the battlefield, now his knees are weakening. Except that I have ground for consolation, but I can be patient. Do you know why, Rasulullah? Because I endured the great hardship and heart-rending event of your separation. I laid you down in your grave when your last breath had passed between my neck and chest. And so it says, فَإِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Now the trust has been returned. This trust, this flower that you gave me, I'm returning this flower to you, but the petals of this flower has fallen. This trust is not the same. I'm not returning it to you in one piece. لَقَدْ اسْتُرْجِعَتِ الْوَدِيعَةِ, and what has been given has been taken back. As to my grief, it knows no bounds. As to my nights, they will remain sleepless till Allah chooses me for the house in which you are now residing, O Rasulullah. When I go back to you, that's when it'll end. But till then, my grief is eternal. Certainly your daughter will apprise you and let you know of how the ummah came together against her to destroy her and dissolve her. She will tell you, فَأَحْفِهَا السُّؤَالِ. O Rasulullah, I have one expectation from you. I want you to ask her questions of what happened. And so Amir al-Mu'mineen lays this body in the grave. But alhamdulillah, at least it was a wholesome departure. He got to bid his beloved friend, as he called it, farewell. You know where I'm going, brothers and sisters. Did they let Hussein bid farewell properly on the day of Ashura? No. He got a chance with Ali and al-Akbar. He got a chance with Qasim, but there were others he didn't get the chance. Abul Fadl Abbas, he went to get water. You don't hear him hugging Abul Fadl Abbas before he goes to the battlefield. All you hear is لَقَدْ انْكَسَرَ ظَهْرِي وَقَلَّتْ حِيلَتِي. What have they done to you, Abbas? There's nothing left of you. What happened to your beautiful eye? Where are your arms? I can bid you farewell, but in this state. But that's not the tragedy, I would say, that broke the back like the tragedies that ensued, where Abu Abdullah al-Hussein was not able to bid farewell properly. They say that that last wida' was one of the hardest things that happened to Hussein. As he wants to bid farewell to the tents, he goes amongst the women and children. As he's hugging them, that Umar ibn Sa'd and others might have said, that look at him, he's hiding amongst the women and children, bring him out. They showered arrows, they say, upon the tents. And Hussein has no choice, that his farewell is short-lived, and he tells them, go back into the tents, let me go fight these people. But as they say, he mounted Dhul Janah to go. They say there was one little girl holding on to the four legs of Dhul Janah. Hussein says, let's go to the battlefield and fight. Dhul Janah is not moving. And so he sees that this little girl is there. He has to dismount. Habibati, go back to the tents. What is going through the heart of Hussein? Let Hussein bid farewell, at least like Ali bid farewell to Fatima. No, we're not going to allow that. Even if this little girl's name is Fatima, we're not going to allow. Whoever it is, we don't care. But I want to end with that tragedy, brothers and sisters, that farewell that never took place, as he takes Ali and al-Asghar to the battlefield. There's one more soldier that wants to be sacrificed for Hussein. Maybe this will defeat the army. And so as he raises this baby, he says, what is the guna and sin of this one? As he's speaking to this army and their hearts are being broken, they say that Mal'un says to Umar ibn Sa'd, what should I do? He says, don't you see the neck of this baby? And so they say, as Hussein is speaking to these people, he feels something fluttering in his head. This arrow comes فَذُبِحَ مِنَ الْأُذُنِ إِلَى الْأُذُنِ, from ear to ear. No farewell. You will not be able to say goodbye to Ali and al-Asghar. All you can do, as the neck is pierced by this arrow, as the head is hanging by the skin, they say he takes the blood of Ali, throws it to the sky. هَوَّنَ عَلَيَّ مَا نَزَلَ بِي أَنَّهُ بِعَيْنِ اللَّهِ. The only thing that makes this easy upon me is, oh Allah, you are watching. They broke Hussein. What farewells for Hussein? ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. ماتم حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussain, 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 Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain. پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے 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 خاتون کوئی غم سے یوں چور نہیں دیکھی ایسی کوئی دنیا میں مستور نہیں دیکھی 18 برس میں ہی لگتی جو ضعیفہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے دربار میں ظالم نے کی ایسی پذیرائی کس طرح سے تو بی بی پھر لوٹ کے گھر آئی بالوں کی سفیدی نے سب حال سنایا ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے تو روتی رہی گھر میں حیدر سے بھی چھپ چھپ کے عصمت کی طرح دکھ بھی پردے میں رہے تیرے کچھ درد تیرے بی بس جانتی فضا ہے پہلو بھی شکست ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے دو ایسے جنازے ہیں تاریکی میں جو اٹھے بس گھر کے ہی لوگوں نے دونوں کو دیے کاندھے ایک فاطمہ زہرا ہے ایک بالی سکینہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے مرہم تیرے زخموں کا بی بی نہ ملا اب تک اولاد امیہ کی باقی ہے جفا اب تک رونے پہ بھی پہرا تھا تربت پہ بھی پہرا ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے تربت بھی شکستہ ہے پہلو بھی شکستہ ہے
गुर्बत शिकस्ता है।
मेहदी से कोई पूछे क्या उस पे गुजरती है, आवाज बकैया से जब रोने की आती है, आंखों से लहू रो कर वो भी यही कहता है, पहलू भी शिकस्ता है, तुर्बत भी शिकस्ता है, पहलू भी शिकस्ता है, तुर्बत भी शिकस्ता है, पहलू भी शिकस्ता है, तुर्बत भी शिकस्ता है। या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद।
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على 9 المعصومين من ولد الحسين. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء ومعين الضعفاء والفقراء، أيها الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان، الأمان الأمان من فتن الزمان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Hey, ya